Sorry, guys, I still don't get it. I still don't get how this is such a popular movie. I still don't get how it's a cult classic. I just don't get it. Look, the original may not be my personal thing, but I could see the passion and effort that was still being put into it. And at least the story was solid. It was okay. Problem with this movie is that it's not okay. We are dealing with yet another 2024 sequel that cannot live up to the original and that overall fails as a movie. Now, it's not a bad one, unlike some of the other ones we've looked at, but oh my goodness, I expected so much more from this. I expected so much more. But, unfortunately, it is what it is. Some things are just not for me, and apparently Beetlejuice just isn't one of them. Which sucks, even though I am a huge horror nut and I usually love this kind of stuff. It's just not for me. I mean, am I going to keep the DVD for the first one still? Probably, but I can't say I'm going to rewatch it very much because both of these movies are just not good in my opinion. And this sequel is almost outright bad. Almost. It's saved by a few things and we're going to talk about it, but in my opinion, if you didn't like the first movie, just skip this one because it's clearly not for you either. So, let's get this over with. I apologize for this review being super late, but there's just been a lot of stuff going on lately, and yeah, this review's late, and I apologize. But honestly, after watching it, I don't think I was missing much. What's up? What's happening? What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Animation Station. I'm such a fan of animation, including TV and movies as well. I'm your host, Jackson Small. Welcome to the first movie review of Spooky Season, and today we are going to be talking about the sequel to Beetlejuice. I'm calling it Beetlejuice 2, not its actual title, because its actual title is stupid. I get what they were trying to do, because if they get a third one, you know what they're going to title it already, but it's still stupid. It is still a stupid title, and they could have just called it Beetlejuice 2 and left it at that. And then the third one, you can still do that gag, but whatever. It's whatever. I'm just not a fan of this one, honestly. I went into it with my expectations kind of in the middle, because I didn't hate the first movie. I saw some really good potential in it, but it just wasn't really for me. And I was hoping this sequel, especially after all the great things I've been hearing about from some of my most trusted sources on the internet, I was hoping this would be the one that would maybe win me over, that would maybe get me to see why this series is so beloved. But after watching it, I was just bored. It takes a lot to make a movie like this boring, and they somehow managed it. Somehow even more than the original. Look, I can't go into spoilers with this one because I try to keep my review spoiler free so you guys aren't ruined in your initial experiences of the movie, but in my opinion, if you don't like the original Beetlejuice, you don't need to watch this movie, because this one is pretty much exactly the same as that one. So, here's my written review. It's pretty short and to the point, but I hope you enjoy it anyway. And if you enjoy this movie, continue to enjoy it. It's just not for me. Dang it, another below average, disappointing 2024 sequel. As someone who didn't even like the original, I didn't have much expectations for the sequel. But this had some expectations because the reviews were pretty promising. But like pretty much every single sequel that has been released in this disappointing, just dog pile year, it failed to meet those expectations. Is it a bad movie? No. On its own, it's not a bad movie. But so by the numbers in terms of legacy sequels, it's not even worth it regardless of that. And as a sequel, it is outright bad because it's worse than the original. The story is a complete mess. The script is generic and bland. The acting is inconsistent. The callbacks to the original are beyond forced and arbitrary. The pacing is way too fast and doesn't let any moments actually sink in. The villains are terrible. The third act is rushed. The whole side plot and twists in the second act with the character that's supposed to be the love interest for this new character, it goes nowhere and it doesn't freaking matter. It's pointless. The music's mediocre, the ending is tacked on, all the jokes fall flat, unless it's something from Beetlejuice's mouth. Beetlejuice is still funny, but all the other characters, anytime they try to tell a joke, fell flat, was not funny. The Maitlands are completely non-existent with a very half-assed explanation. In other words, they just didn't want to pay the money to get Alec Baldwin back. Shameful. And worst of all, the human characters besides Lydia are still completely boring and completely uninteresting. This includes the new one, her daughter, played by Jenna Ortega, someone I praised the ever-living hell out of when I reviewed the Scream movies. But here, she's just phoning it in, and you can tell she's phoning it in. She's just playing another legacy sequel character. That's it. And she's not even a legacy character. She's supposed to be a new addition that draws in new audiences. But all throughout the movie, I just didn't care about her or her character. I didn't care about her situation. I didn't care about her plight with her mother. I didn't care about her freaking school stuff. I just did not, for lack of a better term, give a single shit about this character at all. And worse, the mother is still here. The stepmother from the first movie, played by Catherine O'Hara. Nothing against Catherine O'Hara, she's a very good actress, but in this movie, once again, I still don't like her character, and I still could not bring myself to care. But this movie's not bad because it does still have some saving graces. The practical effects are still amazing. Like, this is Tim Burton after all. He's going to always champion these kind of effects on his own projects. Well, aside from the Disney remake of Dumbo, but that was corporate bullcrap. But this right here is pure Tim Burton in every single way, shape, and form. Almost every single effect that's done in this movie is practical. There's little to no CGI nonsense, and it looks really, really good. And can I just say, it is so refreshing to have a movie in theaters in 2024 that uses practical effects instead of just relying on half-assed CGI. Seriously, thank you, Tim Burton. I will give you that much. Keaton is still excellent. Michael Keaton is still great as the actual character. He was great in the original, and he hasn't lost a single step in the, 30, 40 plus years since the original. He's still great as his character, and he was the one part of the movie that was legitimately funny. Whenever he said a line or made a joke, it was funny. When everyone else tried, it fell flat. But him, he was still funny. Lydia is still by far the best human character, and I do like how they tried to give her like a character arc of sorts with like her PTSD with her an entire little incident with Beetlejuice himself, but she had a bad script to work with is what I'm saying, so it doesn't really go very far. But she herself is still good, and you can tell Winona Ryder is still very good at playing this kind of character. And let's see, its designs are still wonderful, signature Burton creativity. Like, all the designs of this movie, from all the different people in the afterlife to the afterlife itself, like, all that is still incredibly creative. There's even a cool news thing in here. I'm not gonna say what it is because it's a spoiler, but it is really creative and it's a fun little pun. But yeah, the designs are still good. If you come to a Tim Burton movie for the turn your brain off, just pure visual eye candy, you're going to get that. This movie's very, very good visually and has a lot of creativity. And it's not 2 hours long. Seriously, thank you for not making this 2 hours long. This could have easily been one of those legacy sequels that tries to double the runtime of the original and just drags like a rock. But no, it's a legacy sequel that actually is about the same length as the original. So if you want a 3-hour binge, the two movies back to back, you can. Overall, though, this is yet another boring and cataclysmically underwhelming 2024 sequel that fails to capture what made the original work. I'm glad it's not a bad movie for once, but still not worth watching. Just, this movie's not good, man. It's just not good in my opinion. Just everything around it is so generic, bland, and boring, and pointless, and tedious, and meandering, and it just does not work. Please excuse the background stuff. This is a really underwhelming movie, and it's definitely going on the most disappointing list. And I had my expectations low to begin with, and I'm still disappointed. Is it bad? No. Is it good? No. Is it average? Honestly, no. It's below average. It may not be bad, but I expected so much more. And because of that, final verdict for this movie, I'm sorry to be harsh, but this is just my personal opinion. This movie's just not for me. Final verdict is a 4 out of 10. In my opinion, skip this movie unless you know that you like the original. If you like the original, I think you'll like this too. If you don't like the original like me, stay far away. That's my overall thoughts on it. If you like the original, you might find value in it. Otherwise, just stay far away and wait for Terrifier 3. I'm so freaking stoked for Terrifier 3, let me tell you. It may be a Christmas movie releasing in October, which is a little annoying, but I can get over it because it's a true, actual horror movie. I mean, this isn't bad. If you want to watch it, you're free to. Don't let my opinion tell you otherwise. If you still want to watch it, go watch it. If you know that you enjoy this movie, continue to enjoy it. It's just one of those franchises that's sadly just not for me. And as a horror fan, that sucks to say. So, yep. A bit of an underwhelming watch, unfortunately, and even though it took a while for me to get to this one because of stuff going on in real life, unfortunately, I kind of wish I just skipped it. This was pretty underwhelming, and if there's a third one, I might not even watch it. This series is just not for me. Aside of the main character himself, it's just not for me. And again, as a horror fan, that sucks, and as a Burton movie fan, that sucks. So, yep. That's it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm Jot Small of Animation Station, and I'll see you in the next review.
Listen, I want to forget. So listen and you won't regret. Be true to yourself, don't miss your chance. And you won't end up like the fool who ripped his pants.